A couple days ago, I received a very nice gift package that had some awesome retro goodness inside.
Move too fast, it drowns the truth with things that are not real, and I really want us to be real with love that lasts. In the past I messed up.
That's right, in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the MyArcade Atari Gamestation Go, and let's find out if this is a must-have for Atari collectors and an awesome retro-inspired handheld. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Michael B, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the MyArcade Atari Gamestation Go. I want to say a huge thank you to MyArcade for sending me out this handheld for the purpose of this review. Anyways, guys, let's get into it. Take a look at the device itself. How does it run? Take a look at the included games, and most importantly, is it fun? And should you pick it up? But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much, everybody, for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate your support. If this is your first time to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notification, all that YouTube jazz. So here we have the box that I got from MyArcade and everything else. The first thing you'll notice is they sent me this cool MyArcade sticker. I also got a really nice letter talking about the package and a new items presentation for 2025 that I thought was cool to include as well. Give me an update on everything coming out from MyArcade. But you guys don't care about that. You want to know what's in the box. Well, actually, when you get it open, the very first thing is something I'm really excited about. They included these cool MyArcade glasses. Now, I remember having glasses like these when I was a kid. I think they were called Sun Jammers. Really cool. And of course, we have the main event, the Atari Gamestation Go. So here's the Atari Gamestation Go, and I gotta say, this is a pretty appealing box. Visually, it's very good looking, great product shots of the item. On the back shows you connecting it to the TV and the cool little kickstand, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Then on the other side, you gotta have the wood grain. It's the wood that makes it good. That's the package. So when you open it up on the front, it has this flip-up cover that shows you all the games that are included, all the different styles. I thought that was a really cool inclusion, but let's break this baby open and see what's included. So when you finally get the top of the box off, and believe me, it's a struggle, you're going to get a nice protective slip, and there you can see the Atari Gamestation Go. This thing absolutely looks beautiful, and it's so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's wrapped up really well, protected nicely. So here's the device in your hands. It's not too heavy. All the controls feel relatively good. It's got a good grip on it. I think you're going to be pretty happy with this device. Now, when you turn it over, you're going to see some other stuff, including that kickstand we talked about in a minute. So let's take a look at everything else that's included. They always throw in such nice promotional material with all MyArcade stuff, you know, and then from there, you're going to get probably one of the most robust power cables you've ever seen in your life. This thing is super heavy duty. You'll also get a really long HDMI cable to hook your device up to the TV, and most importantly, a power brick. A lot of people don't include these anymore. One thing I forgot to show you during the initial unboxing was it does include an Atari Gamestation Go manual. It'll tell you everything you need to know about operating the device, charging it, and that's everything that's included in the box. So let's start by talking about how the device looks. Obviously, this is a very similar aesthetic, going with the same design that Arcade 1-Up used for the Pong Pub table, with the 3 colored lines going with the white. This is a very good look, gorgeous, represents perfectly the late 70s, early 80s. So of course, recreating that for the Atari Gamestation Go was a smart idea, and I love the look of this device. Of course, this is a very beefy boy. It's a very big handheld, and it kind of needs to be with all the varied controls and buttons that is included, as well as the giant screen. Even though it is fairly big, it is comfortable to hold in your hands and play with all the different button and control combinations. One thing that's going to stand out immediately is just how good this big screen on the device is. The colors are vibrant, the picture is crisp. This is an excellent 16:9 screen on this device. Some people will be disappointed because mostly you're picking this up to play retro games. You want a 4:3 screen. However, the 16:9 screen does allow us to play some games we're going to talk about later on, like Atari Recharge and of course the Balls of Steel Pinball. Now, one of the big selling points for me with this device was, in fact, the varied controls that are on the actual handheld. So, of course, like any other handheld, you're going to get a D-pad, but one thing you will notice is not included here is a control stick. Everybody likes to stick them on these retro consoles for some reason, but no control stick here. Instead, we actually get a trackball, which actually is very nice, as well as a spinner that lets you play every style of Atari classic game included with this device. Another cute little feature is when the game has a varied control style available, what they'll do is they actually have lights around the sides of the buttons and around the sides of the control sticks. So if you're playing a game that uses the trackball, it'll actually light up around the trackball to let you know you can use that. Same on the other side with the buttons, it'll tell you which buttons are playable for that game by lighting up the buttons, which I think is absolutely a very, very smart design inclusion. So guys, let's talk about the included games, and let me tell you, there is a ton of stuff here to play. Anything that you would want to play, either from the arcade, from the Atari 4-bit generation, all the way to 8 and 16-bit games are included on this device, as well as some modern and even a little pinball. So there's a lot to play. Let's start off with the Atari library, and you're getting a good quantity of Atari games from the history. Not everything's there. Of course, I'm missing my classic Plaque Attack. No one ever includes it on these devices, so that's a bummer, but you are getting some awesome games here. A lot of games are going to be duplicated from one console to another. Like, you'll find Centipede both in your Atari 2600 and the arcade collection, and the 5200 and the 7800. Like, there's a lot of repeats, different versions of the same game. It's to be expected with this being a big Atari bundle. I will say the Atari games do work very well. It's a little off-putting to me to be playing them with a D-pad. I'm used to playing, of course, with that control stick that we're so used to playing with Atari, but the games still do work pretty good with the D-pad. There is some, little bit of getting used to it in certain games, but you'll find all of them work pretty well, and probably some of these should have had a D-pad in the first place. I've enjoyed playing games like Yar's Revenge, Adventure, a lot of history from the Atari 2600 presented here. Now, one little complaint that I do have is I wasn't able to test any of the Atari 7800 games. Unfortunately, there's a glitch with the units they sent out to the content creators, so none of the 7800 games will load. I don't think this is a problem with the production model, and apparently an update is coming to fix this specific issue that I'm experiencing. It would have been cool to see some of these 7800 games running though. Of course, you know me, I'm a big arcade guy, so it's exciting to see so many Atari arcade games featured here. Had a bunch of fun playing Centipede, using the trackball, having that arcade experience with the accurate trackball on the go is awesome. The only thing is it's a bit reversed from how I'm used to playing with the arcade. I usually use the trackball with my right hand, fire with my left hand. Here it's reversed. I'm using the trackball with my left thumb and then firing with my right hand, so a little bit reversed. Then I moved on to Tempest because I really wanted to test out the spinner, and I gotta say, the spinner works pretty well. It's a little tight. I feel like it should be a little bit more free moving, but it still gets the job done. It is a little awkward to kind of put your hand up and control the spinner on the top of the controller, but overall not too bad. One major bummer, unfortunately, with Tempest Arcade is that it's in the wrong aspect ratio. If you go into it, you will notice that it's set to 4:3. Of course, we know that it's a horizontal view when Tempest actually should be a vertical game. So the game looks a little stretched on the device. It doesn't look great. I went in, checked the settings. Unfortunately, there was only a setting to stretch it or turn it back to 4:3. So hopefully they can do an update in the future and actually put Tempest at the correct aspect ratio so it doesn't look weird. So one of the other big selling points with this device is you can in fact play pinball on it because it features the Balls of Steel pinball. Now, I had never played this before, but I decided to give it a go on the device to see how it ran, and I gotta say, I'm not really a big fan. Like, I've played a lot of digital pinball over the years from a lot of different companies. This is the first time I'm playing Balls of Steel, and I've got to say, of all the pinball games I've ever played, this is the most video gamey. This feels like some of those early NES and Super Nintendo pinball games and not the good ones. The flippers almost feel a little bit too big, the ball's all over the place. I had a really hard time playing it, but it wasn't like it wasn't any fun. There was still some fun to be had with it, and the cool thing about the Balls of Steel series is they take classic Atari licenses and turn them into pinball games. I would put it definitely on the lowest tier of the digital pinball games I have ever played, below, Zen Studios, obviously, below Zaccaria, Magic Pixel, below, the Gottlieb games. I would put it absolutely at the bottom. But at least you can play pinball on this $200 device, and it's not completely terrible. It is a little bit terrible, though. Now, probably the most exciting piece about this is the fact that this Atari Gamestation Go not only has classic Atari games, but also features the Atari Recharge series. I'm a big fan of all these Recharge games, and they have a very good selection on the device. All the games load up really easily, play really well. The cool thing, of course, is if you're playing a game like Centipede Recharge, you can actually use the trackball like Centipede is supposed to be played. Same with Missile Command Recharged, you can actually use the trackball like it's supposed to be played instead of playing with a controller like you're used to playing on a console or on a PC or whatever way you're playing it. But on this device, you can actually play it with the proper controls and take the Recharge games on the go. I think these are awesome inclusions. Love them. Everything works like it should. Probably one of my favorite things about the Atari Gamestation Go. So there are some other publishers that you will find on the device. Of course, there's Galeco, there's also Pico Interactive, have a variety of games, but probably the most interesting publisher is Namco Bandai, but they actually don't have a variety of their games. They're just bringing Pac-Man to the dance, and I think that's actually so super important. Pac-Man Atari 2600 is one of the very first games I played in my entire life. I'm so excited to see it included in an Atari collection. It would have felt like something was missing if it wasn't there. It's not a great game, but you can play it. But the most exciting thing is it does have the very best version of Pac-Man, which is the original arcade. It's in the correct aspect ratio. It works really good. Only downside is, of course, you have to play with a D-pad, but it's not that bad. Now, last but not least, I do want to talk about how this device isn't just a handheld. On the top, you will find an HDMI out, and you can actually plug an HDMI cable in there and plug this in to a TV to make it a gaming system itself. It does come with controllers that you can plug directly into the back. You can actually buy separate controllers that work with this if you want to use it mainly as a plug-and-play console, basically, instead of just a handheld. It does work really great through the TV. I used it as a controller, and I will say, holding it up, I did have a little bit of issue with the HDMI cord wiggling loose and getting disconnected, so I had to hold the controller flat. Like, you almost hold it flat, horizontal on a desk. That's the only way I could get the cable to stick in. But while the cable was sticking in with it in my hands, it was a great experience. I would recommend anybody to give it a try. But like I said, that cable does wiggle a bit, so you may want to look at buying an external controller instead of using the Gamestation Go itself as the controller for when plugged into a TV. So anyways, guys, that's my look at the MyArcade Atari Gamestation Go. This handheld retails for around $200 US, $229 Canadian. It's available at GameStop here in Canada, or EB Games as it's called now. Different retailers in the US, including, I think there's a big sale going on at BJ's in the very near future that you may want to check out as well. I think it's an amazing handheld. I've only scratched the surface by talking about what's included on the device, and of course I had some limitations with the 7800 games not working, but there is a whole other world to explore on this, as it does have an SD card and there is the ability to sideload ROMs. You can have an endless supply of games on this, and not just Atari 2600, 5200 or 7800, you can put pretty much anything on this, and this could be one of the best all-in-one handhelds you can get your hands on with the variety of control options. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of the Atari Gamestation Go? Is this something you're interested in? Did MyArcade knock it out of the park with this handheld? Let me know your thoughts. Anyways, guys, thank you so very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie. I'll talk to you next time.